Hello everyone. In this video, I will be analyzing an ancient carry player and critique his gameplay and what he could have done better. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with the early itemization, you have to decide that by looking at what the enemy offlane duo is going to be against you. So when I see their heroes, I can tell that SF is probably mid, Monkey is probably carry, and Doom is offlane, and Doom's probably gonna have Spirit Breaker with him. So in this lane, Wraithband doesn't do anything since I can see that you have Wraithband components, a Quelling Blade, Double Branch, and Tangos on your hero. So Wraithband's only good when you're playing against some like Nature Prophet or like a hero that you're going to trade a lot with. But neither is Spirit Breaker going to trade with you, nor is the Doom is going to trade with you. So buying Wraithband is like some sort of waste of a gold. So you could either go for like Stick is not that good in this lane, so the Stick build is like pretty bad. So you could go either for the Blades of Attack into Triple Branch, no Tangos, if you want to buy Falcon Blade because you have an Abaddon as your position 5. So you won't have trouble with heals, so you can actually go that greedy. Or if you're not buying Falcon Blade, then you can go for the Band of Alveskin plus Triple Branch, because you can convert that into treads later on. Because in this lane, Wraithband's like, it's not going to serve a purpose. It's like kind of a waste of a gold. It's better if you just rush the treads. So when I see their lineup, it's like, is this a good Linkens game? Like, you have to ask yourself. So usually on Morphling, you decide whether you're going to buy Linkens or not. Usually Linkens is like a first item in most cases. So if I see their lineup, there's like a lot of stuff which Linken really helps with. Like there's Charge, there's Doom, obviously. Then if SF goes like a magical build, then you can have it against Yules. It's like Linkens is like pretty good this game is what I mean. So when you're buying Linkens, the thing that you need to keep in your mind is that you need to have your Linkens as fast as possible, which is like by 13 or 14 minutes at max, right? So in order to get to that point, you don't buy Falcon Blade and you don't buy Mask. Usually like you buy Mask on Morphling for regen or Falcon Blade for mana regen or HP. But Linken gives you all of that. So in this case, like I would probably go for the Band of Alveskin build because I don't want to buy Falcon Blade. Moving on to the laning phase. So let's see what you do here. Okay, so you aggro the creeps onto your range creep, and then Doom eats your range creep. Okay, so the issue with all of this is, like, always remember, never aggro the first wave under your tower. Because what's going to happen is that your wave is going to push into them. So creep equilibrium is like a really important thing when it comes to safe lane. It's like, the importance of creep equilibrium is that if the wave is here rather than here for you, you're in a danger spot. Why? Because let's say they go on you here, you have to run all the way back here, right? To your safety. But if they go on you on like at this place, then you can just like run back for a few seconds and they will stop chasing you. Like you won't get harassed that much. So when you aggro the creeps into your tower in the first wave, you're just automatically pushing the wave in because the tower is going to kill your creeps really fast. So when you do this, the creep wave pushes in, and if they're good players, they can just keep it static there unless your support pulls, which the position 4 can stop very easily. So avoid doing this at all costs. Like it doesn't make sense. Like if you want to aggro, like let's say, like if you go back, let's say you really want to aggro, like you're scared, like they might deny or harass you, try to like aggro from this point and then move towards the right side so that it doesn't go in tower range, if that makes sense. For like you go somewhere here instead of going inside the tower. So the lane does get pushed in. You're standing here, you're hitting him, but now the lane's like pushed into them, and now you're like in a situation where you have more creeps than the enemy does, which means that your lane is continuously going to push into them. There's like simple maths. If you have more creeps than the enemy do, your creeps will have the advantage and they're just going to kill the enemy creeps and then they will push into the enemy tower, right? So when you're in these scenarios, what you want to do is like if you want to prevent your lane from pushing in, try to aggro the enemy melee creeps onto your range creep. What happens is that when you aggro the melee creeps onto your range creep instantly dies, which makes your lane push a lot less. Because like if you see these creeps, like both these range creeps, like they're like uncontested completely. So they can hit for as long as they want, unless they get aggroed by some other creeps or like some hero. So you do that, which is nice. So this prevents somewhat pushing of the lane, And then after that, your support also gets a pull, so which is nice. Now the lane's gonna like be static again. So now the thing is that when you see this camp, like this camp is like really bad in terms of like pulling. It doesn't kill your creep wave completely. Like it doesn't even kill it like one creep, right? Like you can see here that even one creep dies. So if you can afford, try to like keep the creeps out of the tower aggro range, so that when this wave comes back into the lane after the pull, like you can tank it here. Otherwise, this pull like really doesn't do anything if the creeps just die under your tower. So, but it's like, I think this is fine because you're like a morphling and you can't really tank creeps that well early on. But later on you can do it. Okay, so now for your skill build, basically. So when I see your skill build, you have 2 points in your waveform, which I think is somewhat bad because it's like you have full mana, you have full HP, and you're not gonna use waveform that much. But if you have like your W instead of the waveform at level 3, you can use it to secure creeps. There can be a situation where you'll need it to kill the other guy, right? In case they're like out of range, your waveform doesn't really help with that. So try to make sure that you get 1 point in your W by level 3 at least, or like level 4 at the minimum, because it like really helps you. Like it gives you more opportunities. Like let's say you're on the back foot and you want to secure a range creep, you can just throw your W and you can like secure it, right? It gives you those opportunities. You can like secure kills, stuff like that. So try to not put double points in your waveform. Okay, so this seems like a kill. So you see like you're like running at him, but like you see this example where your W could have really helped, right, with this kill. But if he keeps juking you, he'll just like get out because you don't have your W, right? So he somewhat lives, but if you had your W here, like this is like a kill secured. So these are the situation where W helps a lot. So try to keep that in mind. Like I think playing Morphling without W at like level 3 or 4 is like a big grief, in my opinion. Another thing I want to point out, this is for like the supports mainly, not the core, which is that when you're like thinking of pulling, try to see where the lane stands, right? Like right now it's like 20 seconds, which means the enemy creep wave is like somewhat here, like the next creep wave, and they already have double range creep, which means they're gonna have 3. So this lane is obviously gonna push into his tower, and if he doesn't have creeps inside his tower, like your Morphling, he's gonna get Omega pressured. Like if the enemy can decide to like dive him, pressure him, like they have a lot of options. So in these cases, don't ever pull. Like when you pull like this, Morph is like stuck like this. Like he's about to tank 6 creeps, and like you see like how much damage your tower is taking because of this, because there's like no creep wave. Like you lost like 30-20% of your tower's HP. So try to not do that. Okay, moving on. You have a Falcon Blade, which I already discussed. If you're opting for a Linkens, never buy Falcon Blade. It does the same thing which your Linkens is gonna do. Linkens is gonna provide you with mana regen. Linkens is gonna give you the stats. It's gonna give you the damage because of the stats. So spending 1100 gold on an item is just gonna delay your Linken timings, which is really gonna hurt you in the long run. So don't buy Falcon Blade if there's a Linken games. So now I see you TPing top. Okay, so this is like a really big mistake. It's like you're griefing yourself super hard. So I'll tell you something. Like I appreciate the fact that you're seeing that your top lane is being dove, so you want to TP and help them, but you need to understand that it's not the carry's job to do that. Like when you TP like this to the top lane, what happens is that this Doom now has a free lane, and he's gonna get 6 soon. So the 21 denies, 23 denies, whatever you had are like completely useless now, because you're now stuck top and you'll have to walk bottom all the way. And then by the time you do that, this Doom's gonna be level 6. Since he's level 6, you can't stay in lane because he's just gonna Doom and kill you if you're not quick with your phase shift, right? So this TP is like an Omega grief. It's like kind of a game losing TP because like you had a really good start, but you're like griefing yourself by doing this. And like let's see more. Obviously, like what happened. So you're like just farming here now, which is Omega inefficient. Like you just like gave the lane for free to the Doom now, and you see his net worth. He's like at the top. And not only that, let's just like go back a bit, right? Let's just go back to the point where you TP'd top. So this was the point where you TP, right? So if you look at the timer, it's like 750. You have 3k. You have 3k net worth at 750, right? Let's just make it 8 minutes. You have to 3k network, right? So from 8 till 9, let's see how much you actually farm, right? How much gold you farm as a carry. So by 9 minutes, you farmed like 150 gold as a carry. Whereas if you didn't make this TP, you'd have like at least, like, given the status of the lane, conditions of the lane where you were owning, where you can just push in the lane, then you can farm both these camps, you could have potentially farmed like around 600 gold every minute. So like this is a major setback. And like if you see the Doom's net worth, like the point from where you TP'd, which is 8 minutes, right? So Doom is like 3.1k, and by the time you're back in the lane, like he's 5k net worth. So this is like pretty concerning. Like this TP was like an Omega Griffith throw in your game by a landslide, honestly. And also like one more thing I forgot to point out, like, so when you think about TPs to lane, like if you think about helping your team as a carry, you need to understand a few things. Number one being, does my hero have catch? Is my hero mobile? Like if I TP in, like if I go on them, can I catch them? Like do I have the reach? Like my hero has 285 like movement speed, right? Like 330 now. I don't know if it was bugged, but yeah, like my hero's really slow. My waveform is like the only form of mobility I have. I have no stuns, no catch. If I TP in, can I offer any help at all? Like the answer is no. Like let's say you're a void with chrono, then it makes sense that you TP in and you chrono them, and then your team follows up or whatever happens, then you get a kill. But if you TP on a hero like Morphling, like Clinks, you know, these heroes don't have any form of disable or anything, so you're just gonna be wasting your time. So keep this thing in your mind. It will help you a lot, basically. Moving forward, you've been forced out of the lane because of the TP that you make earlier, and you're pretty behind in net worth. Like you're like 4.8k at 12 minutes, which is like not that great on Morphling especially. And then now you've like bought a mask as well. So it's like, yeah, mask is good on Morph, but what does mask do? Mask gives you regen, right? It keeps Morphling at full HP, and like he can play at max agility all the time, and like he farm really fast, right? It basically enables you to sustain yourself to farm really faster. So what does Linkens have that is like somewhat similar to what Mask does, right? Linken has like a component ring of health, which gives you health regen, right? 6.5 health regen is a lot, because Morph will usually be playing at 400 or 500 HP, so you can just like heal yourself really quickly. So when you buy Mask plus Falcon Blade, that's like 2,000 gold, which means that's like a setback of 2,000 gold for your Linkens. Now your Linkens is delayed by potentially 4 minutes. Like if you farm 500 gold every minute, it will take you 4 minutes to farm 2,000 gold. So it's like at this point of the stage, that's what you're gonna get, unless you're having a really good start, unless you don't make the mistakes that you did, right? So when that happens, your Linkens is delayed by 4 minutes, which is a big deal, right? You're not even close to the single component, and it's gonna be like around 16, 17, 18 minutes by the time you get Linkens. On a hero like Morphling, where like if your first item is Linkens, you can't really fight with it, right? So if by 18 minutes, if you don't have an item that allows you to fight, this game is gonna become like a super hard game for you. So let's say how it plays out, honestly. So I like the fact that you're playing bottom side of the map, because top is like, you don't have the tower top, and farming top is like not feasible. So you're just constantly pushing out the bottom wave for your team and like farming near the jungle, which is good. When you relieve this pressure for your team, they can focus on the other side of the map, which is great. So now you're farming. Yep. It's like if you buy Linkens, you buy Ring, you buy Falcon Blade, like it's like, not Ring, Mask, it's like you're gonna be wasting a shit ton of gold, you know? Like you'll have 10k net worth or like 8k net worth, and it's gonna be entirely useless, is the problem. So you're pushing the lane completely, and then you see this, so you're TPing top, and because we saw Monkey Bot as well. So yeah, I don't mind this. This gives you an opportunity to take top tower. So let's see if you do that. So you're constantly pressing the top tower, which is good. You're opening the map for your team. So this is good, right? You're not TPing mid to fight, which is like a great thing, because if you TP mid to fight, like you can't really offer anything. Like you don't have replicate to like use some stun or from the Monkey King or anything, or like charge, and your hero doesn't have any items right now that he can fight with. So it's like the better decision is that Morph takes towers really fast because of how much agility and attack speed he has. So this is the right decision. This is why like TPing on Morph is like super risky. So even though the fight is happening top, you don't have a TP. It's like whatever. You get a tower for your team, opens up the map, you're farming. So this is good. So like if we just go back here again, like let's just go to the point where you TP top, right? So when you TP like this, like your net worth is like 15 minutes, your net worth is like 6.6150 approx. And then at 16 minutes, let's just see how much your net worth is. So you technically farmed close to 1,000 gold in a minute because you didn't TP. Like this TP was good, right? You farmed close to 1,000 gold. This is what you can achieve if you make the right decisions when it comes to joining fights, when it comes to when to fight, when to farm. This is like a really good example. So yeah, this was really good. So now you're TPing back again, right? So what did we discuss like earlier? Like our hero does not have any stuns. Our hero does not have any items. Like we can't offer anything into the fight, right? So when we TP back here, and we're just like kind of stuck here now. Like we're gonna TP here, they're gonna go back, and then we're just like stuck here. Like we can just go back here and farm this. That's all we're gonna get. But if they're all here, maybe I can pressure this tower again, right? And I can force a fortification from them, and then I can go somewhere else and like push that tower. Or I could just farm the entire jungle and move my way back here, which means I'm gonna have a lot of gold. So let's just keep this in mind. Your net worth right now at 1624. Let's make it 1630, right? And you're like 7.2k. So by 1730, let's see how much net worth you have and what happens after this fight. So you see, like they just go back. So let's see what happens by 1730. Or you actually die as well. So it's like you didn't farm anything in that minute. So these TPs, like they're gonna compound and they're gonna make the game really fucking hard for you. Like it's been 17 minutes, you don't have your Linkens, your game's gonna go like omega bad because of like these few mistakes that you've been making. So now you're thinking whether I should TP mid or I should go top or I should like TP bot. So let's see what decision you make. And then so you're TPing bot. So now while I do understand why you're TPing bot, there's like some problem with this. The problem is that when you TP bot, it's like the enemy knows, right? And then they're all playing around this area. So yeah, you push this wave in, but then you're like kind of stuck. Like for the rest of the minute, you're just like stuck. So instead of making these kinds of plays and like being AFK at this point, try to walk bot, push this wave out, and then when they move towards you, TP top. Like this way, you're just like mad dodging them until you get your items and you're like wasting their time. So let's see how this plays out. You TP in, you're farming this wave, and you see now you can't go there because you're scared that they might be there, right? So you're like somewhat walking. Like you see how much you had to walk and stuff. You're like kind of stuck, and now they're like all top. And this is probably an opportunity for you to hit this tower, right? Like let's say you forced fortification on this tower before instead of TPing in, and then this scenario happens. You can just like take this mid tower because they're all top. Like they're all showing on the map. You can see four heroes. The only hero that's missing is like Spirit Breaker. Oh, actually you can see him as well. So instead of like farming this, you should definitely push this wave in and then take this tower. So you're going in here. I don't really understand this move, but yeah, like in some minutes you're farming like 1,000 gold, in some minutes you're like not farming at all. So like when you see it, like by 20 minutes you have 135 CS, and you're like you're gonna be like 8.5k net worth, which is really not that good on carry. So yeah, while I understand that the game's kind of hard, like they have a lot of map control, but you can understand why this is happening, right? Like your first TP allowed the Doom to like have a really free lane and then also take your tower, and then after that your decision making is like compounding a lot. Like you're having a really hard time in this game because of the mistakes that you make. So at first, like it doesn't really sound like it. Like, you know, when you like play the game, it feels like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, or like my team's not doing anything. But when you look at it like this, it's like quite different. So there's like another thing about Linkens in this game is that they can always cancel it like really quickly. Like let's say, like they have a global way of canceling your Linkens. Let's say you're farming here on a creep wave, right? And SF has or Doom has a blink plus Doom, right? So what they can do is that they can ask Spirit Breaker to charge you, then that breaks your Linkens, and then Doom jumps you and like dooms you and you just die, right? So as a practice on Morph, what you can do is that as soon as your Linken pops, just phase shift into strength as soon as, like, just make it a habit. It doesn't matter if you know where they are or if you don't know where they are. Like, just make it a habit. So in the future, when a fight arrives, when they do this, like, they're eventually gonna do this, then you're already ready for it. So this is just like a in general tip for the game. So you're thinking about Manta, which is not bad considering they have a silence on this guy, but it can be cancelled by Linkens. So, like, it's not completely necessary that you have to go Manta here. Like, you have a few choices, right? So when I see their lineup, if I don't know if SF is like magical or not, but when I see their heroes, if SF is like right click, I don't really need the BKB, because Doom goes through BKB, all the physical damage goes through BKB, and like Spirit Breaker all goes through BKB. Like, everything they have, like most of the things they have, that just goes through BKB, except for like SF Fear, right? So later on you can buy BKB if you want to burst SF 1v1. So let's just see if SF's like, so SF's buying like magical items, and even then, like, it's like if I need BKB, is it like a BKB sword? Like, I want to dodge the fear, like, because if you have Linkens, then he can't actually combo you ever, unless they do the thing. Or if they do combo you, you can just like react to it really easily. So there's that thing. So you're pushing tower, which is nice, and your TP here, which seems like a bad TP unless you're gonna go for Roche, which I don't think you will. So the reason why this is a bad TP is because now you're stuck on the map again, right? When they will take ages, like, they're gonna probably move towards your triangle and they're gonna try to fight you. So maybe you win the fight. Like, I don't know how it will go, but it doesn't feel like it, since they have Monkey Kid with like Wukong and Monkey King has ages, so it's gonna be like a hard fight, and you don't have like that many items to like actually do anything. So if you stay at bot, you could pressure this tower, or if you were scared to pressure this tower since they're taking Roche, because you can't contest Roche, just farm all of this jungle and then move towards top, right? But since you're stuck here, just like farming, and a fight never really happens. Just like, you see that you're just like stuck here. Like, when you're like playing a game like this, you can't afford to be here. Like, you want to either be here or like some place here, because they can't really charge you because of Linkens, right? So they can't really catch you in any fucking way. So be at places where you can split push from reliably, which is gonna like make them react to the pressure that you're creating. Like, this is an example, right? If this tower is being pressured like this, I'm 100% sure someone's gonna TP here to defend this, right? Which makes space for your team, because now you know that they're not ganking you, they're not smoking on you, they're not doing any maneuver that can like stop you from farming. So fight going on here, and does anyone TP top is the question. So far, no one's TPing top. They probably TP like if you're there hitting the tower. So you guys lose the fight, and like, it's like this entire time you're like just like kind of stuck. It's like, if you go back here, you can't really do anything. Like, you can't literally do anything. It's like, the way the fight is going right now, you have to just dodge fights and like keep split pushing, delay the game as much as you can. And especially when your teammates are like not alive, you're just gonna be like standing here for like, let's just say like the fight's over, right? You're moving towards top. You have like almost 11k net worth. You're like 70 gold short. But it's like, during all this time, like, you don't get anything. Like, you see, just like kind of stuck. And then when your teammates are back, then of course you can fight. But when they're like dead, then you can't really do anything. So it's better to just go to some side lane and farm instead of like doing all this. So TP back. And they just like kind of threw the game, so which is good for you, I guess. But in most cases, like, this game would probably be over by this point. But since they threw, which is good, like, we'll take that for sure. So you're thinking about going Ags, which it's like Ags has been nerfed. So I believe, and also like all the high rank players that I see, they only buy Ags against Slark or Drow Ranger, mainly because Slark is like a completely stats based hero. Same for Drow Ranger, right? Like, if she doesn't have stats, she can't really fight you. Same for Slark. You could turn into Slark, steal his stats, and then also hit him and steal his stats. So, which is pretty good against Slark. But against Monkey King, it's like not that good. I understand, like, maybe you're going Axe because of the Spirit Breaker, but it's not worth it to spend like 4.2k gold just to, you know, charge people. Like, yeah, it's good. It's definitely good, but it's like you can do the same thing or have the similar impact if you don't buy Axe and just like convert into him. So I personally don't think this is like a great buy. Instead of this, you could have gotten either a Manta for stats, or I'd probably go Dragonlance Scotty here if I don't need BKB. Dragonlance is like, because eventually I can buy Pike and I can get out of the Wukong, because it's gonna be good for that. And the other thing is that you need like some form of stats before buying BKB. Usually, like it's like you go Linkens, Yasha BKB, you go Linkens, Dragonlance BKB, stuff like that. But in this game, BKB isn't that necessary, so Scotty is like a really good buy because of like a few reasons. One is you're playing against a double agility core, right? One is a range agility core and one is like melee agility core. So against SF, it's like already really good because Scotty has double the effect on range heroes. And against the Monkey King, it's like he can't man fight you because of the regen reduction. So Scotty is like insanely good against Monkey King and SF. As for the rest of the replay, I think this is enough analysis, because whatever happens after this point is just the enemy making really bad throws and stuff. So in order to summarize it and make it make sense, if the things that you did early on in the game, the mistakes that you made, technically you should lose the game by now, because those aren't the things that actually are gonna make you win the game later on, because it's a really wrong replay. So I feel like up until this point, there's like a lot of important information, and all the things that actually matter are before this point. So I'm gonna cut it off here. In case you guys feel like I should analyze the game fully, we can always do a part 2, so no worries about that. I hope you enjoyed this content and you were able to learn from it. If you liked the video, please do subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.